Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
All right, hello and welcome. We're back. Tuesday Night Mania. I know I've been gone for a couple weeks. I think the show still went on, but I'm hosted tonight. Big B Ace is having some technical issues. I'm joined by, Will from Top Row Collectibles. How you doing, bud?
Doing great. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully Joe will join us here momentarily. I just messaged him, so hopefully he'll be able to get on. I'm not sure where he's at, but looking forward to tonight's discussion.
Yes, and up next to me is our main man, our producer, Syrup Crispy Bacon. How you doing?
Doing good. Hope everyone's having a great evening.
All right. So, Will, I know I've been busy, but have you been keeping track of AEW and what's been going on?
Yeah, I think pretty well. I think I've been keeping pretty good track of it. Not 100%, but
Yeah.
I know the basics of what's going on. So
what do we got going on? I know they got a champ.
The biggest thing, CM Punk, new world champion over Adam Page. Of course, I think that was very predictable. I think the biggest thing that came out of that pay-per-view was probably the press conference afterwards with Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone calling, or Eric Bischoff calling CM Punk the biggest financial flop in the wrestling industry. And Tony Khan was very adamant that wasn't true. Although, I don't know, it seems very fitting. So, I mean, maybe their pay-per-view sales are up and maybe their merch sales are up, but it sure doesn't seem like it. So I think that may be a spot-on comment, and that's something that we've discussed here pretty extensively. Adam Cole, Britt Baker winning the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. You know, I think that was very predictable. I probably wouldn't have went with Adam Cole. I probably would have went with Jeff Hardy because Hardy was around in WWE when Owen was around, and I think that would have been a little more fitting. But, you know, it is what it is, and that's who they're going to push. So, and then I heard Adam Cole and Jeff Hardy are both out now with injuries, so neither one will be there on Friday for Friday night's show or Wednesday night's show. So that's really it.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you. I do think that the winners of the tournament was predictable. I mean, they could have thrown a curveball, but you know they've been pushing Cole since he's been there. They've been pushing Britt. You know, I mean, Britt had to drop the title somewhere down the road. But Chris, what do you think so far?
It's been good so far. I mean, I heard about the pay-per-view and it seemed good. Everybody was complaining though about how long the card was or the event was. I think it was like 11 or 12 matches, not counting the buy-in.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of complained about that, but other than that, it seemed like it was a good event, and you know, all went well.
Yeah, no doubt. I did get to see it Reddit. You know, like Joel said, I think or mentioned Bischoff's comments about Punk. A lot of fans think the same way. They think it was a waste for Page to drop the title to Punk and all this. So, well, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, is Punk the money guy right now? Was it the wrong move, right move? What do you think?
Well, you know, before Adam Page won the AEW World Championship, everybody kept pushing it and wanted him to win.
Yep.
Then he won, and it seemed like he got booed out of arenas. People didn't like him. People didn't buy his merchandise. You know, he does have a huge line at autograph signings, but other than that, I mean, the guy's just not nearly as popular as he was before he was champion. I think people enjoyed the thrill of the chase with him trying to win the title a whole lot more than him carrying the title. And, you know, the guy has a lot of opportunity on the microphone. He's not a good promo guy. But, you know, in professional wrestling, when you have somebody that's pretty good in the ring and can get a good following of a good fan base, you generally put them with somebody who is good on the microphone. They didn't do that, you know, and that's probably a dropped ball. But I think this was the plan the whole time, was to put the belt on somebody that could drop it to Punk. And Punk made several references to wanting his next match to be with Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson. So I think that's going to happen relatively quickly. And then he did say that he's wrestled Dean Ambrose, but he's never wrestled John Moxley. So he's looking forward to wrestling him. But I don't see that anytime soon. I think Daniel Bryan and Punk are going to have, quite a built-up feud throughout this summer. And I would not be surprised one bit to see Daniel Bryan with the AEW World Championship very quickly.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I can't see nobody else. Maybe Samoa Joe. I don't know. They seem like they're building everybody up one at a time for the rivalries and stuff. It's not like they're building them up anyway else. So
I was most impressed with Wardlow at the pay-per-view.
10 power bombs.
I was most impressed with him.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that is over, and I mean I think we'll talk about it a little bit later. But so we got some comments coming in very quickly. Robert's chiming in. AEW rocks. Chuck Hoffman. He said audio is funny, but evening, gentlemen. So we'll check and see what's going on there. Thomas Glenn, the Chief's in the house. Welcome, Chief. Glad you could join us.
What's up, Chief?
Definitely enjoy his show Saturdays. Will, what is it called?
Thoughts Count Anywhere. Saturdays at noon. We broadcast it on Top Rope Collectibles every Saturday at noon.
Yes. So that being said, and the Robert's chiming in here. I see one here. I think Jeff Hardy needs to step back and heel. Yeah. What do you think there? Well, I mean, he does some crazy stuff. He's getting up there in age. I mean, part-time.
I mean, he's still got some decent runs in him. He just can't go out there and do it 125% every night and continue to do it every night. I mean, he needs some downtime too to rest. And even when he was in between companies, he was still on the road doing different things. So he needs some rest for sure.
Yeah. And then we got Roger. The pay-per-view was good, but was not enough cool-down matches, so it did hurt the momentum for some. I did not see it. I kind of know what he's talking about. Well, did you see it? And maybe what's your thoughts?
It reminded you of an old school WCW pay-per-view from like 1999 or 2000 when there was way too many matches booked.
Okay.
It was a really, really long pay-per-view where it probably could have all been done in a little under 3 hours. And pay-per-view went till after midnight. And it was just stacked back-to-back matches where, there wasn't any cool down in between at all. It was just hot and heavy. Somebody wins, they celebrate for a minute, get out of the ring, and then ding, 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 here comes the next match. So that reminds me of a lot of the pay-per-views from WCW, especially in 2000, or late 2000, or late, mid 2000, late 2000, somewhere in there.
I mean, they're competing with NBA Finals, so I mean.
And Thomas is comparing it, and I would too, WrestleMania, pre-pandemic WrestleMania, where they just kept booking matches, and WrestleMania used to be 3 hours, then they pushed it to 3:30, then 4, then now they've split it up into 2 days. So.
And I think at one point before that, it was like 7 hours, not counting the pre-show.
So I know Chief himself was there.
I know WrestleMania 33. I think that show was like 6 hours plus because I remember being there till like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was just ending.
Yeah.
So, wow. That was a really long show. So yeah, and that was only in 2017.
But I'm guessing, as a fan, you enjoyed it. I mean,
it was a long day, though. I can tell you.
Yeah, I know. That's still on my bucket list to get to a WrestleMania. Hopefully soon. So, all right. So let's move on. I'm going to skip our second topic for a moment. Let's talk about Ric Flair coming out of retirement. That is coming up.
Like in July.
End of June, I think. Is it July?
End of July. Yep. Last week of July. So. I can tell you that myself and several admins from my group, myself, Ben, Donnie, and Kev, we already have our tickets for Flair's last match in
Okay.
Nashville, Tennessee. So we're really looking forward to that. We're going to that, and we're going to that convention as well. So hopefully we'll see a lot of our group members there. But tickets sold out in less than 24 hours. So it was a very quick sellout. But in reality, tickets sold out in like less than an hour, because when you first clicked on to get tickets, the first 3 rows were already gone.
Yep.
And then the 4th and 5th row were gone within seconds. And then they only gave you the option of general admission seating. And then they gave you the option of bleacher seating and the option of standing room only. And within probably an hour, it was only standing room only. And by the next morning, there was nothing left. So huge deal. Huge convention, StarCast. StarCast 5 is what it's called. A lot of big names are going to be there. Plus, at the same exact time, same town, you have WWE is going to be in town as well. You're going to have SummerSlam there in Nashville the same weekend. So it's going to be a humongous wrestling weekend. If you're a wrestling fan and you got the opportunity to go to Nashville the last weekend of July. Go check it out. It's going to be awesome.
So, did you get tickets? I mean, are you expecting a lot from Ric Flair? Or are you just going because this is his last match? I mean, what made you decide to go, Will?
It's historical. It's historical. You know, I mean, I truly believe it will be his last match. I don't think he's going to do it and then do it again in 6 months or do it again in a year. I mean, I think he's literally, this is it, because, I mean, I don't think the guy can go a whole lot more, you know, and I have a feeling it'll be a tag match somehow, him and somebody else, you know, tagged up against somebody else. But I don't know, you know, I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe a one-on-one, but I highly doubt it.
I know rumored Steamboat was tied into that, and he's come out and said that he's not doing it.
Steamboat said no, he wasn't doing it, but you know, then they rumored Hogan might be his opponent, but I have a feeling it's going to be a tag match because, you know, what better way to have somebody, you know, help carry the match. So I think, you know, I think it would hurt his legacy to have it be a one-on-one match and not go nearly as well as he hopes. And, you know, for his mental capacity, you know, you would hate that for him. You know, here he is, very last match of his career, and it comes out and it's terrible, you know. You would hate that for him. You want to see him go out on a high note because, you know, whether you like the personal guy or you don't, you know, professional-wise and in-ring wise, it's Nature Boy Ric Flair. I mean, everybody loves Ric Flair. Whether you love him or not, you love Ric Flair, you know. And I know that sounds crazy, but, you know, he's a humongous part of history. And I really would like to see it be Flair and somebody versus Hogan and somebody. Because can you imagine the pop for that match? You know, I mean, I think that'd be huge. And I think you got to get somebody much younger as the partners, you know, that can kind of go in and carry on the match. And then, you know, you have him tag in Flair at a high spot, and he comes running in, jumps off the top rope, and does some different stuff. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Sting. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be a good one.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see somebody like Daniel Bryan. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I mean, I wouldn't. There's a lot of people that wouldn't surprise me. So, but I think it's going to be bigger than anybody's given it credit for. Why is he doing it? I mean, there's a lot of speculation. Everybody's saying it's for the money, and you know, he's broke, so he's got to do this, and he's got to do that. But I think when you have such a humongous career and such a humongous legacy, at some point you feel an internal need to go in and do something to kind of finalize that. And I think that's why it'll be a tag team match, because again, if he was to go in and have a one-on-one and it doesn't go well, then, you know, can you imagine how that would break him down mentally? So I think it'll be a good tag team match against somebody. And again, I think it will be Hulk Hogan on the opposite side of the ring.
Wow.
I mean, he had to get through, like, what, 40 doctors. One of them said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a tag match. You know, I know Flair can't go all night as much as he probably thinks he can.
Yeah, it's not going to be a 60-minute match.
Yeah. No, I really hope he hits some of his signature Flair spots. definitely when he gets whipped in the turnbuckle, flips over, and then runs down. If he doesn't, I can understand why, but I kind of hope he does. But you're definitely going to be there, so we'll definitely have to get an update on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, when I heard the rumors, I was just like, really, he's coming out? I mean, I just hope he doesn't embarrass himself. That's the one thing,
Well, also, too, I don't know if you heard it or not, but supposedly him and Wendy, who was Fifi and WCW, are back together as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that'd
that's
be what?
That's a big deal, and I think
17th marriage?
I think she's encouraging him to, live out these things while he still can.
Well, and I think as an athlete that you want to go out on your terms. I mean, you don't want injury to dictate when you want to go out. We saw a video of him working out, so.
But I think as a person too, a person who has been on this ledge and on this pedestal for so long, I think as a person he wants to go out too, not just as an athlete or as a wrestler. I think as a person he has something he wants to prove himself. It was only a few years ago the guy was laying in his deathbed and they were making tribute videos and getting ready to announce that he passed away. So
I remember that.
It's a miracle for him to even be alive, let alone doing what he's doing. So does this prove that he's the greatest of all time? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, no doubt. I remember checking my phone constantly when all that rumor started. So, let's get it.
Plus, all the horsemen will be there too. Barry will be there. Tully will be there. Arn will be there. Lex will be there. JJ will be there. That's huge by itself. And they're going to do some different panels and some different interviews and stuff. And basically, you buy one ticket and you get into all these different shows for the one ticket price.
Nice.
So, I mean, that right there alone is incredible. And the ticket price isn't outrageous. I want to say it's like $150 or $160 for the ticket. Now, the actual match itself required a separate ticket, but that separate ticket was only like $50-something. It wasn't expensive. So for all the stuff that you're getting for less than $200, pretty damn good.
Yeah. So Ben put on there could be the Four Horsemen versus some others.
Could be.
It could be, but I that other team's going to have at least a couple big names. I think from Flair's past, Sting, Hogan.
So Lex is in a wheelchair.
Yeah, Lex can't do it.
Arn cannot really walk. He can walk, but not really good. And plus, he definitely can't take any bumps.
No.
Barry.
That's why I don't think it's going to be Hogan because I heard Hogan can't take bumps either.
I don't know. He's had a lot of surgeries. He's had a lot of stuff to fix them up. And how many bumps does he have to take to tag in and throw some big fists and hit the big boot? I mean, I don't know if he can do the big leg, but he can hit the big boot.
We'll definitely see. Can't wait for that. I'm glad you're going well, so we can definitely get a first-hand review on that. So let's move on to Sasha Banks and Naomi's situation, and we can kind of tie in MJF if we want to. So, Will, what do you know? What's going on? I mean, what do you think? Work, not work, real?
Well, at first I thought it was a work. Now I'm leaning more toward it being a shoot and realistic. But they're saying that Sasha has a lot of different options of what she can do and what she can't do. They're saying that they're both suspended without pay, which is a shame. But they're saying that Sasha can leave after her contract and go to Hollywood, and I can kind of see that the real victim in the whole thing is probably Naomi because, I mean, she's probably going to do okay. She's still married to an Uso, and I'm sure they bring in a really good income together, and she can probably get a job in AEW or Impact or wherever she goes. But, I think she's the real victim in the whole thing because she's not out there enough and built up enough to go into Hollywood and some of these other places. And it's a shame because she's a tremendous talent, and from everything you've ever seen of her, a great person. So, you would hate to think that she'd be the one that would be kind of left out in the middle of nowhere while, Sasha goes off to Hollywood and everything goes great for her. She's already got connections out there with relatives and everything else. Yeah. So I think it's a shame, but do I see them popping up in AEW anytime soon? No.
Yeah. Chris, how about you? What do you think of the whole Sasha Naomi situation?
I go back and forth. I don't think it's a work, and then I hear stuff, and I go, maybe it is. And I don't know. I go back and forth, but I truly think it's not a work. Just you hear it on like Hollywood, report shows and
Mhm.
all of this stuff, and they're still unsure about the tag team belts at this point. They think the tournament's scrapped right now.
Is it a shame though? Yeah.
Yeah,
No matter what it is, it's a shame.
Yeah,
right. It is.
Talking about some tremendous talent.
yeah. And it sounds like it started all over Rousey getting in the main or WrestleMania. Banks and Naomi didn't, so Banks kind of
Well, and
started that.
I think Sasha didn't want to face Ronda.
I don't think it's that she wanted to face her. I think she was just upset that she got in the Mania and she didn't. So for me, I thought maybe it was a work at first, but then, kind of like Chris said, everybody was, you couldn't turn on the news because he was carrying it. Other wrestling sites, every post that I saw, So I think it's a real thing. Reached out to somebody I know, talked to, through Facebook. He does his own show. He's kind of connected into some of the wrestlers, and he believes it's 100% real from the get go. So, you know, I guess we'll see where it goes. Moving towards MJF, we saw all the controversy there. So, Will, what do you think? What do you think? Is it this kind of the same thing? Is it two different issues? What do you think with MJF?
No, I think a lot of that is made up, and it's just part of the whole character thing. I don't think a lot of that's real, and I also don't think WWE is nearly as interested in him as they're trying to make it sound. I mean, I just don't see it. So a lot of the stuff he's doing, he can't do in WWE. So why would they be interested in him at all? I don't know. I don't see it. They'll have him over there, and he'll be an opening match guy. He reminds me a lot of like Damian Sandow. That's exactly what's going to happen to him. I think if he goes over there, he's not going to go over there and main event. I don't see that. He needs to stay put where he's at and follow whatever direction he's given and hope for the best. They just buried him on pay-per-view, and they only do 4 pay-per-views a year, and they just buried him and made him look absolutely horrible in that match. So, unless they're trying to devalue his stock, that guy needs to get his life and career straight really quick, because I don't think there's other companies out there that are trying to really get him the way he thinks they are, the way he says they are.
Yeah, no doubt.
They already have a guy that acts just like him. His name's The Miz.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, you got probably top 5 heel right now going. You're AEW. You built AEW as a heel. I think it would be foolish for him. Yeah, the money might be better if WWE really wants him, but I think you stay in AEW. You help build that up as the face of AEW.
Well, what's his biggest stick? His biggest stick is what? Giving fans the finger and staying in heel character. You can't do that. You can't do that in WWE.
No,
you got to go to all these paid for signings and stuff in WWE, and then you act like you don't want to sign their stuff and all this stuff. You won't last.
Thomas is saying that the squash won't hurt MJF at all.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it will. He was supposed to be rumored on a flight back. He was going to miss the match.
Well, he claims to be one of the greatest. He claims to be better than everybody else, but then he just got squashed.
Which I think we all knew that was coming after all the.
But any character, if Hogan went out there during his prime and the Undertaker powerbombed him 10 times and he got pinned, wouldn't that hurt Hulk Hogan's character? Hulk Hogan just got squashed, Well,
what about the time Jarrett went out and laid down for Hogan?
Yeah.
I think that kind of hurt Hogan himself too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just in the minority.
Yeah, so I don't know how that wouldn't devalue his character and devalue.
So Thomas chimes back. He's super over, and the storyline called for it.
But if he was to become world champion tomorrow and then had a match against Wardlow at the next pay-per-view, wouldn't you expect Wardlow to do the exact same thing and powerbomb him 10 times and take the belt?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's talk about people being over. That's just go with the bloodline. I mean, they've beaten everybody. Who's going to come in and take the belts from them? I mean,
Right.
MJF.
nobody, but the whole MJF thing. I mean, I think his ego probably got the best of him, and maybe it'll come out to be a storyline. Maybe they'll work things out. AEW will play it as a storyline. I mean, time will tell. I hope he doesn't show up on WWE.
You know how much those signings cost to get into for AEW? I mean, they're outrageously priced, right? And then you got to pay to get in there. You got to pay individually to meet the individual talent. Can you paying a couple $100 to meet that guy and then him just scribble some garbage on your autograph and treat you like complete garbage, not even answer your questions, not even want to talk to you? Who wants to do that? Who is entertained by that?
Yeah. And Chief chimes in and says the day of Fan Fest, MJF was at a slot machine Saturday. Yeah, we saw the video. I think somebody had a picture of it. Who knows? I think he probably thinks he's bigger than he really is. I mean,
so it's $70 to get into the Fan Fest, and then I would imagine it's probably another $70, $80, $100, whatever, to meet the top talent. You're not talking about, I'm not talking about Rio. I mean, I'm talking about, the top talent: Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, Jericho, MJF, all the top talent. I'm sure.
And there probably wasn't a deal: buy 3 of them, get 1 free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's all a la carte. So
I
have a feeling, but who wants to pay that kind of money to go in there and then be insulted? I've seen a lot of the figures and stuff that he signed, that say you suck or eat shit or whatever. I mean, can you imagine paying $200 to have the guy write eat shit on your figure?
No.
So Thomas Burnett's saying that what he's reading is he wants more money but won't negotiate a new contract.
And I think he'll show up. If he does in the WWE, it'll be SummerSlam.
Yeah, I hope not. I really hope not. Chief said Regal, Mox, and Donaldson was $200. So for a single autograph. So
okay.
I mean, there, if you want all 3 of them, I mean,
I like together.
No,
he said individual. So if you got a picture of all 3 of them together, you're spending $600.
So,
and will you negotiate those yourself? So I know it's got to be hard.
So, but how we do it is much, much different. I mean, we have a total amount of, items that we want to get signed, and we have a total amount of money that we want to spend on getting those items signed. So then we can turn around and retail them for an amount where, we can sell off 100 pieces at X amount of dollars, which A, is a whole lot cheaper than any of these conventions you can go to. And B, we make a little bit of money on top of it. But, I think people have this misconception where, we go and do these private signings and pay very, very little for them, and we make a big fortune of money. It's not true.
Wow.
For example, just an example, I did a private signing with Kevin Nash. I think it was a couple weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago now. And the hotel room alone, we used the hotel room for approximately 2 hours, was $186 just for the hotel room. We used it for like 2 hours, and then I had to pay the agreed upon fee to Kevin, and I had to pay for all the inventory to get signed. I had to pay to have all the pictures printed. I had to select the images that I wanted printed. I had to pay to have them printed. I had to pay to ship them from New Jersey from our printer, the guy that prints for us. I had to pay to ship them from there to here. So first of all, the price of paper right now with everything going on is through the roof. The price of shipping right now is higher than it's ever been because the fuel prices are higher. So that dictates everything else. Then the hotel room was $186. Then I bought lunch for everybody that was there. So, I mean, it's a huge expense to do those things, But individually, I was able to sell those Kevin Nash pieces for like $30 a piece. Where if you go to a convention, you're looking at $50, $60, $70 to get in the door. Then you're looking at just getting one item signed. You're looking at a minimum of $40, maybe 50, maybe more. So now you're over $100, where I've already got it signed. I've already got it here, and I can ship it to you for approximately $34.
And let's put out there, Will, that you're not suggesting not to go to these. I mean, you know, but
Absolutely not.
yeah,
But I'm saying
I don't-
the reality of it. I mean, you think about these conventions. There's one local to us in Jacksonville. They're charging $60 something to get in the door, and then they're charging $100 for a Bret Hart autograph. I mean, just
Yeah.
one autograph. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's time consuming. So
This poster back behind me. I don't know if you can see it or not.
yeah, the Taker
This is
one.
the way
Yeah.
This is the way the camera's sitting now. I've had that poster for a very long time. It's an original from 1994, but my wife went and got it signed for me while I was doing the Kevin Nash signing. It cost $240 to get that poster signed.
And to you, that's well worth it.
Just for the autograph, though.
Yeah.
That doesn't count the entrance. That doesn't count the fuel to get
Yep.
there. Any of that stuff. The hotel rooms, nothing. Just the autograph. $240.
Yeah. No, I wish I had the time and stuff to do what you do, Will, and go to these conventions. But so anyway, so let's move on. It looks like Joe is having power issues, so he will not be on. So let's go into what our topic was. If you could book a Survivor Series match 5-on-5, who would be on each team? Chris, I'll let you start because you're a younger guy, so you should.
I am.
It should be all new guys. I know me and Will are probably gonna have some older ones. So
We're only doing the main event, right?
yeah, we're just doing one match. So who would you like to see 5-on-5, Chris?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of that.
Come on now, Chris.
I know.
Okay.
I would do AJ Styles, Ricochet, Edge, Miz, and
There's one team. Unless I miscounted.
I got 4 so far.
Okay.
And then Drew McIntyre
Okay.
going up against Omos, Damian Priest,
Okay.
Bobby Lashley, Riddle, and Randy Orton.
Okay. All right. So yes, Thomas, were you doing any company, any era? So for me, I gotta go back to when I sent it to you guys because I was gonna be on the show last week. So I actually did 2. I did a women's one because last time we did something like this, we got called out on. So what did I do with it? Okay, so first one I would do kind of like a family style one. I would do Dusty, Rocky Johnson, IRS, Blackjack Mulligan, and Ray going against their kids, of course. Cody, Rock, Bray, Barry Windham, and Dominic. And then the second one, I would do a 3-way dance, women of each era. So we've got Wendy Richter, Moolah, Medusa, Sherry, Rock, and Robin versus Trish, Sable, Lita, Jackie, and Ivory. And then I would verse them against Flair, Lynch, Banks, Bailey, and Belair. Kind of patching the torch for the women there. So, Will, what do you got? I know you're going to come up with an amazing match.
So I only did the main event we talked about, but I did Attitude Era towards late 90s, early 2000s. So I did Hogan, Hall, Nash, Sting, Goldberg on the WCW Nitro side. And then on the WWE Raw side, I ended up doing
I see what you did.
Undertaker, Kane, Rock, Triple H, and of course Stone Cold Steve Austin. So you had Stone Cold's team versus Goldberg's team. Even though you had a lot of other world champions on there, the match everybody always wanted to see was Goldberg in Austin. So I put those on there. So if you look at some of the mixed matches on there, you got Goldberg Austin, you got Sting Taker. You got Rock versus Hall. You got some different ones. You got Kane and Nash on there. I mean, you got some serious matchups there. And remember, Survivor Series 5-on-5 is totally elimination. So can you imagine the match that would have been? That's probably the match or something very close to that they were looking to get at Survivor Series 2001. So if you remember Survivor Series 2001, It was a team led by Stone Cold Steve Austin for WCW. Remember, because he had jumped ship and was doing the whole invasion angle, you know.
Oh, yes.
Remember
okay,
that?
Yep,
So,
yep.
but if you look at the match that I put together and you kind of compare it, you know, obviously WCW guys weren't there, but I think that was the whole angle they were really looking for, but they just couldn't get that group of guys together. But that's the match that I think they would have put together in November 2001 if they
Yeah.
had all those guys there.
Yeah. So Thomas Burnett's chiming in. He's got, Flair, Arn, Telly, Wyndham, and Rude versus Steamboat, Sting, Styles, David Von Erich, and Christopher Daniels. That'd definitely be a nice one. And then Rogers Cooper, thank you for chiming in. Hart, Guerrero, Malenko, Benoit versus, I'm not even going to try to pronounce all those names because I'm going to butcher them, but so it looks like kind of American versus
New
Japan. Yeah, New Japan.
So if you remember back to Starrcade 95, do you remember when WCW faced New Japan at Starrcade 95 and they did it all in singles matches?
Yep.
If you look back at that, you know, that was a great event that they put together, and it was basically all, there was a couple matches towards the end that weren't, but it was basically all New Japan versus WCW.
Yep.
It was for a big trophy. I can't remember what it was called, but I want to say it was like the New Japan Cup or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and they had some great matches back then doing that. So the idea of the Forbidden Door and the company having all these matches with New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's been done.
Yeah.
You know, it's been done. Go check out Starrcade 95. Go pull out the old VHS player. Check out Starrcade 95 because it's happened.
Yeah. World Thomas is saying World Cup of Wrestling is what it was called.
Yeah.
So and then the Chief, he wants to know we did this on our first show, I think it was, or one of our first. He wants to know our Mount Rushmore of wrestling. So Will, me and you are kind of old school but let's go ahead. Will, what is your Mount Rushmore?
Well, personally, I mean, I think Brett is definitely on the Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
Flair's on the Mount Rushmore just because. I mean, probably greatest wrestler of all time. Maybe not greatest entertainer. Maybe not greatest draw, but definitely greatest wrestler. And then, of course, Hulk Hogan. How could you not have Hogan on your Mount Rushmore? And then, believe it or not, I think Macho Man would probably be the fourth one. And if it wasn't Macho Man, then it would be Austin.
Okay. For me, before we get to Chris, let me think about it a little bit. I've always said it's Hogan, Warrior, Sting, Flair for me as a fan. Watching, I mean, Will, you've thrown out a lot of good names. I mean, nowadays, you got to throw Roman Reigns in there, Moxley, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes. I mean, but my all-time definitely is going to be Warrior, Hogan, Flair.
Well, it's hard to say, that you put Austin on there, but you don't put Cena on there. I mean, that's hard to say.
Yep.
There's such a big difference in the eras and the difference in the time periods that, again, Cena is 16-time champion, but, he was champion during a time where the belt changed all the time. I mean, how do you not include The Undertaker in the Mount Rushmore? And it's so hard, but, The Undertaker's probably the greatest character in professional.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Even in entertainment, maybe, of all time. But
I mean, everybody loved Austin. Yeah, he had the lone wolf, let's say, mentality, but everybody liked him because he got to do what everybody wishes they could have done and stick to the boss a couple times. I mean,
but he also had the biggest draw. He drew the biggest amount of money. He had the biggest amount of merchandise sales and all that stuff until John Cena came along.
Yep, exactly.
And he outsold Hogan. He outsold Hogan merchandise-wise and all these other things. So, but, it's sad that you don't have Undertaker on there, and it's sad you don't have Rock on there, but,
it's tough.
But Rock, in reality was only really there for a very short amount of time. And then he spent more time being a part-timer than he ever did as a full-timer, so, and he's spent more time in Hollywood now than he ever did in wrestling. So it's hard to say that he he doesn't belong on there. You know, it's hard to say Piper doesn't belong on there because there's so many other great ones. But I mean, you got to look at like Shawn Michaels. How is he not on there? You know, I mean, that's a tough one too. But you know, Shawn's run on the top was such short-lived that.
Well,
I mean, it's hard to say that he was really truly up there. You know, I mean, his injury in '98 really hurt him, and he lost that 4 years, and that may be something that kept him, even though everybody calls him the greatest in-ring performer of all time. The guy, they also call him Mr. WrestleMania, but he's got more losses than he does wins at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So,
and who knows where Shawn Michaels would have been if, you know, Jannetty's whole outside of wrestling thing didn't happen, you know. So we know that, you know, if you're a wrestler fan, you know.
Shawn being hurt and being out for 4 years really, I think it hurt his legacy, and it kept him from being a many more time. Otherwise, Shawn, in that 4 years' time, Shawn, we'd probably be talking about being a 16-time champion too.
Yeah,
Shawn
exactly.
would probably be up there with Flair and Cena as a 16-time champion.
Yep.
If Shawn was not 4 years.
So we got some coming in here. Chief, Buddy Rogers, Bruno, Bruiser Brody, and Hogan. So we all know Chief is a little older than us, so I can get that and can't disagree with that.
I can't believe Chief left Flair out there.
Yeah, I'd like to hear why he left Flair off. Chief, if you're still watching, please comment why you left Flair off. Thomas is Burnett. He got Hogan, Flair, Sting, and Austin. And this is Rogers is kind of the one that shocked me. Sting, Flair, Hogan, Steamboat. I like Steamboat, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, so I'd like to hear Rogers' reason on why he put Steamboat up there, which I'm not going to disagree with. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people. I mean, for 4 spots, there's definitely a lot of people that we could all throw out there.
But how can you disagree with anybody? Because there's so many people. There's so many people that we just said should probably be on there, but they're not for whatever reason, you know. And do I think eventually there'll be a physical Hall of Fame and a physical Mount Rushmore style monument built at the Hall of Fame? I do. I really do. I think Triple H and Stephanie, even though Stephanie's on her leave or whatever's going on there, I think they have that in the works. You know, if you look at that show that they just did last year with the merchandise and all that stuff, I think
the Hidden Treasures,
yeah, I think that stuff's in the works. So, but it's so hard to pinpoint down to 4. It's hard to pinpoint down to 10. You know?
Yeah, exactly. We could do 10. Honestly, we could probably do 20, and we all would have different answers. I mean, Chris, you're the youngest one of your, you know. So who's your Mount Rushmore right now of wrestling?
And did you notice too? Nobody put Andre on there.
I was thinking about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd probably go with Hogan, Undertaker, Austin, and probably Roman. I don't know.
Okay. So Chief chimes in. He said he put the wrong name in. It should have been Flair instead of Hogan. He was talking to the wife, made a mistake. So, yeah, I mean.
But see there again, how do you discredit Hogan from being on there? Because Hogan, up until probably the Stone Cold days, which was like 98, 99, how do you discredit Hogan? He was the biggest draw. Without Hulk Hogan, the character, you never have WWF buying out all the territories and becoming the global phenomenon they were. In which case, would we still have territory days? Would we still have territories right now? I mean, so without Hogan, how do you not have Hogan on the Mount Rushmore? You know, and here's another one too. What if you're to do a Mount Rushmore of like managers or talent, like valet talent, right? So, for example, like your Elizabeths walking you to the ring, right? Nobody ever does that. Sensational Sherry, although she was a wrestler and a world champion wrestler, but she was also a valet for a very long time. Jimmy Hart, Bobby Heenan, you know, I mean, so many other good talents. Freddie Blassie. If you ever go back and watch WrestleMania 1, here's something most people have no idea about. At WrestleMania 1, Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik became the tag team champions. Did you know that?
Which one?
Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik became tag team champions at WrestleMania 1. Did you know that? Most people don't know that.
No, I
Their,
guess
and their manager was Classy Freddie Blassie.
Yep,
And
okay.
did you know who they beat? They beat Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda
Rotunda. Yep.
at the very first WrestleMania. I mean, that's how far back those guys go. And unless you really know your WrestleMania history, most people don't know that. Most people don't realize IRS, Mike Rotunda, used to be a tag team with his brother-in-law, Barry Windham, back in 1985, and they were tag team champions.
And they were called
I'm
God.
not going to tell you what they were called.
The name is right on the tip of my tongue too, because I just heard it, but I can't.
But they had very famous introduction music.
Yeah. I could picture it too right now. But so we got some more comments coming in. So Thomas said, if Shawn doesn't get hurt, does Triple H rise to stardom? What do you think there, Will?
I think Triple H does, because at that time, Austin's not quite ahead enough. Hart's gone. Undertaker's still doing his thing with Kane. So I think Austin still becomes, and eventually, but I think Triple H still becomes. You got to remember too, Triple H still didn't become anything until like late '99. So even if Michaels was still there and Austin still becomes what he is in March of '98, Triple H still was a good year and a half plus away from really developing into anything.
Okay. So Roger chimes in. He said his main reason for Steamboat is just watch the Flair trilogies and the Macho Man. Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, he had great matches. Like I said, I wasn't. You're probably the first one I've heard that put Steamboat up there. And I can't disagree with it. And Chief said Giants another one, and Piper in Portland. Yeah. And then Thomas again. His Mount Rose.
Not only, let me throw this in there too. Not only Piper in Portland, but remember Piper in Mid-South?
Yeah.
I mean, I was really young, and of course I've seen the footage as an adult backwards, but Piper in Mid-South was incredible. He comes in, he's partnering with Flair, he's going against Flair. He had the what was it, the NWA United States title, which the belt itself had like the picture of the country on the front of it. I mean, it was pretty cool. So I mean, he definitely had some good stuff there. And that was kind of like the calm, relaxed Piper compared to what he became a couple years later, because it was only probably a 5-year span from that point on to when he was in WWE and is main eventing WrestleMania 1 as the top heel in the business.
Yeah. No, you're right. Thomas said Heenan, Blassie, Hart, and Captain Lou Albano, as his top 4 managers, and we might have to discuss that down the road. I mean, like Will said, we don't get into that many discussions with that.
Well, it's the thing. Hold on, it's the same thing too with commentators. I was looking at this today. In 1 year's time span, really not even 1 year, in about 3 months time span, you look at like Survivor Series '93, which I've talked about a lot. I love that event. It was one of my favorites as a kid. One of the first ones I ever, saw as a kid and really fell in love with. But the commentator team is, it was Bobby Heenan and Vince McMahon, So, I mean, tremendous commentary team. Then you fast forward, not even 6 months. What is it? Probably 4 months later, WrestleMania 10, one of the best known, well-known events of all time. You got Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler as a commentary team. Yep. And everybody talks about Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler being a great commentary team. But before that, you had Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. What if you were to do a Mount Rushmore of commentators? And in that case, and in that case too, you got to look at like Gordon Soley, from Championship Wrestling from Florida. What a tremendous commentator! Schiavone, Eric Bischoff, before he was the whole president and all of that. Bobby Heenan.
What about a lot of people throw McAfee?
McAfee.
They're throwing McAfee up there, which I kind of think is.
But I mean, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura.
And Heenan.
There's so many different ones. Jim Ross in WCW days with Tony Schiavone. I mean, there's a lot of good talent. Jerry Lawler and Bobby Heenan are probably, they got to be top 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real debate and a real struggle to say who is number 1. But as a kid, you didn't want to hear what Bobby Heenan, you didn't want to hear what Jerry Lawler had to say. But as an adult, and you go back and you watch an old event and you listen to Bobby Heenan talk, or you listen to Jerry Lawler talk. Let me give you one example. So going into King of the Ring 95, and what we'll do is we'll skip our historical moment because this will be our historical moment right here. Let me tell you.
All right.
So going into King of the Ring 95, the Undertaker had his creatures of the night that would sit around ringside, and they would have like the flowers and the wreath and all that stuff. And the camera did a pan over shot over to one of them, and they're looking at them, and the guys look like they're half asleep or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong with those guys? You know, the creatures of the night, something's wrong with them." And Jerry Lawler says to Vince McMahon, he's like, "You don't think they got a smell of my feet, do you?" And I mean, just out of nowhere, just off the wall. The fact that he could come in with just anything so quick. And as an adult, it's hilarious, man. You got to go back and check it out. It's like 2 weeks before the King of the Ring 95, Monday Night Raw. And King of the Ring 95 was like June 25th, 1995. So it'd be 2 weeks before that. So somewhere around the 12th of June of 95, right? On Monday Night Raw. Okay. But just his wit and his fast timing and everything else, hilarious. The guy's hilarious, you know? Or Bobby Heenan in 93, go back to Survivor Series, talk about that. You know, he's sitting there, he's commentating and stuff, and all of a sudden you hear him start screaming, Stu, wake up. Yeah. And then Vince McMahon's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, Stu fell asleep over there in the corner. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just random stuff like that. The fact that they had so much wit to be able to carry on that conversation. And it's a shame because when I was a kid, I didn't catch a lot of it. I didn't understand a lot of it, you know, but as an adult, I go back and I look at it and I laugh and I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny. You know,
because we're so tuned into the action. You know,
the dry humor. Yeah, the dry humor, you know, and listening to Jerry Lawler talking about, you know, the agony of defeat, you know, because the whole kiss my foot match, you know, the agony of defeat, you know, as in defeat, you know. So, I mean, just so much class. WrestleMania 10, Roddy Piper gets announced as a guest referee. And Jerry Lawler's like, Roddy Piper, oh, I hate this guy. You know what I mean? And just the way he says it, it's hilarious. You got to check this stuff out. Go back, put on an old pay-per-view, pop in an old tape, watch it on Peacock, whatever you got to do. But go check it out and just listen to the commentary. These guys are incredible. And, you know, Bobby Heenan never even went to college. You know, he never even went and did all these other, you know, things. He went, he dropped out of high school, had to start working to support his family. You know, he had come from a broken home. He didn't have a mother and father. I can't remember. I think we lived with like an aunt, a grandma, and maybe a mom. I can't remember, but it was a broken home. But, you know, he went to work and he was a wrestler and then he became a manager and he did all this stuff without an education. And you listen to that guy and tell me that there's people out there with 4-year degrees that are as quick-witted as he was. Yeah. That man was a damn genius and hilarious. He missed his calling for sure because he could have been a stand-up comedian and made millions and millions more.
Yeah, no kidding. So one last comment here to get to. They're rolling in, guys. I wish we could definitely, you know, go on forever. And we probably could for wrestling, you know. But Chief wants to know, do we know who Mike Rotunda's first real tag team partner was?
Well, I do, but do you?
Not offhand, and I know I probably do know who he is, and I probably seen him wrestle.
I think you do.
So, Chris, I know you
right. I'm still
kind
of catching up.
Yeah. So, who was it, Will?
I'm not gonna tell you. You guys got to learn this stuff, man.
No, I know once I hear the name, I know.
I always got to give you guys the history lessons.
God, Mike Rotunda, and I know he was it. It was
You know who his dad was, right?
It was him in the Varsity Club, wasn't it?
Varsity Club came later.
Varsity Club came later. Okay.
That's when he was with Sullivan and Dr. Death.
That's what I was going to say was Sullivan. So
yeah, that was later though. Varsity Club was later.
Okay. Well, I'll have to do some research because right now I know I probably know who the wrestler is.
Do it, man! I'm telling you, there's so it's a lot of fun, man.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. We got
Yeah.
Professor Will, we got Professor Chief throwing out, So, all right, Will. So let's wrap it up here. What's going on with TRC? Your final thoughts?
Well, this is the first week we took off in a long time. And, we've been running strong for a long time. We've been traveling everywhere. We've been going to these signings. We've been doing all kinds of stuff. And Ben and I decided for Memorial Day weekend. So we decided we'd take the week off. There's so much going on, man. And I may sound like I'm ranting or raving a little bit, but there's a lot happening in the world right now, and a lot of bad shit. And I'm sorry to put it that way, but that's the reality of it. And just bad shit. And we wanted to take some time and spend some time with our kids and our families and reflect. And thank you to the soldiers, man. I came out of a United States Army family. I came out of a sheriff's deputy's family. After my grandfather retired from the Army, he was a sheriff's deputy. And I grew up with soldiers in and out of my house, and I grew up with deputies in and out of my house, and state troopers and all that stuff. And if you're not given the respect to the service industry, as far as your police and your military and all that, that's your thing. I can't criticize you, but I would say, there's a reason they're there, and there's a reason you're here. And I saw a sign the other day that said, if you don't back the blue, next time you need some help, call a crackhead. Yeah. So, that's the reality of it. Bad shit, man. This whole school shooting thing, and Big B, usually when we talk and get on here and have fun and shit, I drink some beers and relax and shit. I'm drinking water. This is just me talking bad shit. This fucking school shit with this Uvalde, Texas. How horrible, how awful. And, all this shit needs to stop. And, I'm not a pro gun control guy. I can tell you that. I'm a strong believer in the Second Amendment. And I think we've discussed some of that, behind the scenes before. But take care of your family, take care of your friends, man. Take care of people. I really preach all that stuff with my admins and my group. And, I get, issues all the time with people, and we do everything we can to take care of people. And that's my message for the closing this week is, God damn it, take care of people. Let people know you care. Reach out when I reach out all the time to members that I don't hear from for an extended period of time. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Is everything going okay? I haven't seen you in a while on the shows. I haven't heard from you. It's not because I want you to come in there and buy something. Obviously, I want you to spend money, but if you don't, you don't. And that's all there is to it. But I want to know that you're doing okay. And I want to know, if you were a normal in there and then all of a sudden you weren't a normal in there, why? Mental health is a huge, huge thing, and people don't get it. You can't see it. You can't feel it. It's not like a broken arm or a broken leg. Mental health is a humongous thing, man. And reaching out to people and letting them know you give a shit. And I apologize. It's late enough I can use this language, but, reaching out and letting them know you give a shit, it goes a long way, and I'm not preaching to the choir, guys. I'm just letting you know, you got to take care of people. That's one thing that's made us so successful. That's one thing that's made me so successful, been so successful, my admins, my team. I had 2,000 plus people in my group. We dropped it down to like 600 because we only dropped it down to actual active members, because if you're not active in there, we don't want you basically clogging up space. But I have like 25, 30 messages a day from members that I talk to. But I know I've run on too long, Big B. But my message is take care of people, man. Take care of your friends. Take care of your group members. Talk to people. Mental health is a big thing, and you can't see it. Everybody thinks that it's bullshit, or you just got the blues and you need to get over it, or you need to man up is the biggest thing I always hear. You need to man up and get over that shit. Be a man, it's not something you can help. It's not something you can just fix. You can't just go, I'm going to man up and I'm not going to be depressed anymore. I'm not going to have anxiety anymore. That's not how it works, man. And so, again, I apologize for ranting, but I like to call it keeping it real. And
there you go. Keeping it real with Will.
You got to freaking take care of people. Whether you buy from us or not, reach out to me, talk to me. I'll talk to anybody. I'll help you in
Oh,
any
you
way I
will.
can. I'll help you in any way I can. And I get so many people that reach out to me and talk to me. And I am truly, truly blessed. Been married 15 years. I got 4 kids. I got a house. You know what I mean? I got a business that I run. I got great friends. You know what? I ran big box super centers for 20 years. Never did I have the amount of friends that I have now just running a business a couple hours a week doing lives. So
There you go.
that's my rant for tonight, even though I like to call it keeping it real. So what
There
you
you
got,
go.
Big B?
All right, Chris, what about you? What do you got going for your final thoughts?
Great show. Just stay with Coast to Coast. We got great things coming up, and glad to be here and doing the show and all that. So
Yeah. No, thanks for everybody that joined. Chris, thanks for the behind the scenes work. It's these shows are definitely fun. I love that we're interacting more with the viewers and stuff. We start with an agenda. Will, Ace, myself, Joe, we kind of all send it out every so often. But we love going off topic and talking with you guys. I mean, it's definitely, you guys throw out topics. We'll definitely answer the best we can. Um, I hope everybody that served this country had a great Memorial Day. My nephew, or no, it'd be my cousin. He's enlisted in the Marines. He'll be leaving next month to do all of that stuff. So good luck to him. And with that being said, guys, keep checking out Coast to Coast. Check out Top Rope Collectibles. Check out Chief on Saturdays at noon.
Thoughts count anywhere.
Thoughts count anywhere.
Aaron Phillips and the Chief every Saturday at noon. We broadcast it live on TRC.
Yes. So with that being said, I'm Big B. That's Syrup Crispy Bacon. Will, hopefully next week we get Joe and Ace back. So check you all next week on Tuesday Night Mania. Have a good one.
I don't know. We rocked it just fine. So I don't know.
Yes.